Hi everyone, I'm Steve and this is the College Support Network. In the past, I've worked in high schools as a college advisor, and I also have experiences working in college financial aid, academic advising, as well as admissions. I'm really passionate about college access, and I know applying to colleges can be really confusing as well as really frustrating. That's why I'm here to provide you all with the most accurate and most quality information so you can reach your college goals. Today's video is going to be pretty short, and if you haven't read the title of the video yet, this video will be about how to write college essays. More specifically, I want to talk about 8 different tips that I have that can really help you write your college essays. Before we start on the tips though, I do have a couple different notes that you should all be aware of about this video specifically. The first note is that this video can really be used for multiple essays that you have to write for college applications, such as the UC Personal Insight questions, Common App essays, coalition essays, and even the CSU EOP questions. However, with that being said, this video isn't meant to give you specific or detailed information or tips about all the essays that I just mentioned. It's more of just a way for you to know about general tips that I have for you to help with any college essay. On top of this, for students that are applying to private colleges in the Coalition app as well as the Common app, please know that this video isn't specifically made for the specific writing requirements that you may have for individual colleges. For example, if you're applying to Stanford or USC or MIT or wherever school it may be, a lot of these schools have specific writing requirements that are separate from the Common app and Coalition app essays. A lot of the times the writing requirement or essays that you have to write for each individual school is really unique to that school. So it's really different from the one that you have to write in the general application. So this video may be helpful in some situations, but it may not be in other situations. So just please remember that. The next thing to be aware of is that I'm going to refer to all essays that I mentioned earlier in the video. So PIQs, Common App essay, Coalition essay, and Cal State EOP questions as essays. So even though personal insight questions aren't considered essays, I'm just going to refer to everything as an essay just to make things a little bit easier. The next note is to remember that I'm always here to help you if you do have a specific question. So if you want to know something specifically about the Common App, the CSU app, the UC PIQs, or maybe if you even have a specific question about how to write a personal statement for Stanford or any private school or just any school that requires it, feel free to leave that in the comments below and I'll be more than happy to either comment back or answer your questions. In addition, if you do want a dedicated video about any of the specific college essays that I mentioned earlier, feel free to let me know as well. I'd be more than happy to make any dedicated videos about various college essays if there is interest in it. And lastly, the most important note I have for you all is please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. With that being said, let's get started. And the first tip I have for you all is something that I've mentioned a lot in my past videos already, but it's just to remember that all essays are going to be weighed the same. So if you're writing your personal insight questions for the UCs, all 8 of the prompts are going to be weighed exactly the same. This is the same for the Common app and the Coalition app that has multiple essay prompts as well. There's no such thing as the perfect essay prompt for you all to write. The most important thing is to choose the prompt that you feel the most confident and comfortable writing about. I know I've heard a lot of students in the past that told me, oh, I heard PIQ number 3, 5, 8, and 7 are the best ones to write about, and honestly there's no evidence to prove any of that at all. Same thing with the Common app and Coalition app. What I always tell students is the best essay prompt for you is the one that you could write the most about. So try to figure that out yourself, look at all the different prompts that are listed, and see which ones you feel the most strongly about. My second tip is to really identify the question or questions in the prompt, and then tailor your entire essay to answer that question. I know this sounds really self-explanatory, but I've seen a lot of students in the past write an essay that didn't answer the prompt at all. They just wanted to tell a story that was related to the prompt. The majority of your essays should be you just answering the prompt, answering the question. And to do this effectively, you really do have to understand every single question that the prompt is asking. To add on to this, I really advise you all to try and stay away from adding a bunch of fluff to your essays.
10 people died in the Bronx last night due to a fire that killed 10 people in the Bronx last night during a fire.
I know it's really important to have an engaging essay and have a story that academic counselors want to read. With that being said, the majority of your essay should still be you answering the question. So adding a bunch of flowery language, adding a bunch of things that aren't related to what your answer is going to be really takes away from your overall essay. My next key tip is to write your essay in your voice and your voice only. The vast majority of your papers should be about you and your experiences, not the experiences of your friends, your family, your teachers, or anyone else that you want to talk about. Obviously, it's okay to bring some of these individuals up. However, you do want to make sure that the majority of your essay is about you. And this is important because colleges use their college essays to really learn more about who you are as a person. They want to learn more about you, right? So they don't really care about what your friends did or what your teachers did or what anyone else did. They want to know what you did. I've been reading freshman applications for the University of California for the past couple of years, and one of my biggest pet peeves is when a student spends their entire essay talking about the experience of someone else.
Why?
Which is really interesting because the essays are called personal insight questions and there was nothing personal about it. So like I said, really try to spend the majority of your time talking about yourself and having the essay in your own voice. Similar to this, my next tip is to really put your personality on display. Like I mentioned in the last tip already, your college essays are really a time for you to really showcase who you are outside of the classroom. Academic counselors already have access to your GPA, your transcripts, your test scores, and other things related to the classroom. So it doesn't make sense to just talk about all those things again in your essays. Like I said, your essays should really be a time for you to showcase who you are, talk about your personality, and let that shine throughout your entire essay. The fifth tip I have for you all is that outlines can be important, but the most important thing is just getting words down on a piece of paper. I usually suggest students to have at the minimum a very brief outline of what they're going to be talking about, and this could be very simple. For instance, 1 could be what is the essay or prompt asking for, 2 is what is my answer, and then 3 is what supporting evidence or information can I provide. This is pretty simple, right? So this is at the minimum what you need to start, but what I think is even more important is just getting started on the essay at all. I know a lot of students spend so much time brainstorming because they want to write the perfect essay, and of course planning is important, but a lot of the times you really just need to get words down. You just need to get the ball rolling and then make edits or make changes from there. Your very first essay is never going to be the perfect draft. No first draft is going to be perfect. So getting words down, just getting ideas and thoughts down, and then making edits, making changes from there is going to be really beneficial for a lot of you that kind of get stuck in your head and want to write the perfect essay. The sixth tip I have for you all is to really try to find a balance between being concise and clear while being detailed and descriptive. I know this sounds really hard and difficult to do, but honestly this is probably going to be one of the most important things that you need to do if you do want to write a strong essay. Essentially every major college application that has an essay is going to require you to have a word limit. And the reason for this is because colleges want to see your ability to answer a prompt or answer a question while also being clear and concise enough that you're under the word limit. However, with that being said, you also want to make sure that your essays are detailed and descriptive enough so that the academic counselor or academic reader that's looking at your essay is able to understand the points that you're trying to make. The next tip I have for you all is to take the reader on a journey. This is honestly one of my favorite tips, but I also feel like it's one of the tips that confuses students the most, because when students hear the phrase take the reader on a journey, they feel like they have to write this really crazy and elaborate story with a super cliche hook that's engaging and then ends with a super crazy lesson that they learned. This is not what it means to take the reader on a journey. To me, taking a reader on a journey is as simple as just trying to do the best you can to have the reader understand what it's like to be in your shoes. One of the main goals in your essay is trying to really assist the reader in feeling and understand all the things that you were experiencing in the story that you're talking about. One thing that I've told students in the past to do that really helped them is actually trying to use the 5 different senses that we have. So this includes smell, sight, touch, hearing, and taste. Obviously, you don't have to use all 5 senses in every single essay that you write. However, incorporating them throughout your essays can really help readers understand what you're feeling and then put themselves in your shoes. And the very last tip I have for you all, and it's probably the most simple, but it's just to be yourself. To me, this just means don't pretend to be someone that you aren't. Like I mentioned in a couple of videos already, I've read hundreds and hundreds of PIQs in the past, and at least for me, it's really easy for me to tell when a student is trying to be someone that they aren't. A lot of times this means that they're writing stories or essays or responses that they think the campuses want to hear, when in reality, all I really care about is what you experience and what you want to talk about. When I read college essays, I really want students to be as authentic and genuine as possible, and the best way to do this is just being yourself. Like I mentioned so many times in this video already, college application readers and colleges in general just want to learn more about who you are outside of the classroom, and we really just want to learn more about your personality. Remember, at the end of the day, we're interested in you and you only. Alright y'all, so that's all the tips I have for you all today. However, with that being said, like I mentioned earlier, if you do have any specific questions about maybe the UCPIQs or Common App essay, Coalition essay, or any other essay that you are writing, feel free to let me know if you want to make a dedicated video for that, or if you want to just leave a question down below for me, feel free to do that as well, and I'll answer them as soon as I can. Also, make sure to subscribe because in the next video, I'll actually be talking about how you could edit and polish off your essays before you submit. And with that being said, before I let you leave, I do have 2 questions for you all. The very first question is, if you started your college essays already, what was the hardest part about starting? And then the second question is, if you haven't started your essays, what's holding you back? Feel free to leave your answers down below. And with all that being said, thank you so much for spending some time with me today learning about college, and more specifically college essays. I think that's super awesome. As always, thumbs if you learned, and subs if you loved. Take care y'all.